of goodness and greatness and power and strength. That's what the African spirit is about. The drum, it starts with the drum. Our heartbeat is the drum for our own personal lives. There's a song that was written by the lyrics Yusef Iman, who was one of the primary promoters of Kwanzaa. When it first came out, Kwanzaa was not so well known back in the 60s because we were just getting into trying to develop ourselves into being more free. That's why it started from the Black Freedom Movement. Yusef Iman in the song for Kwanzaa, and it goes, Kwanzaa, a step to liberation. Kwanzaa, a step to our nation. Kwanzaa helps us to see that we are in control of our own destiny. That we are in control of our own destiny. Kwanzaa, that was one of the songs that he gave us. He also gave us a song to highlight what the red, black, and green was about in Kwanzaa. As you know, as you can see, on the Kwanzaa Kinara, which is the candle holder, are the candles and Shema, and each day we do light the candle. So today would be Ujijakalea lit up. And so forth and on for each day. On the last day, all the candles are lit again. And we do have a Karamo. And for this song, he had in the song to praise the red, black, and green. Praise the red, the black, and the green. Brothers and sisters with me and redeemed. Open up your eyes and see we are on our way to being free. Praise the red, the black, and the green. Brothers and sisters with me and redeemed. Open up your eyes and see we are on our way to being free. And this is what it's all about. We celebrating our freedom. We celebrating who we are as an African people. We're celebrating the first fruits of Kwanzaa, being able to give thanks to the Creator for the harvest, for our food, for our clothing, for our shelter, for having a roof over our heads. Especially here in the West, there's a lot of people who don't have. So we give thanks. It's all about giving thanks to whomever God you, whatever you call that particular higher force, higher being, we recognize and we give thanks and we give praise for that. This is what Kwanzaa is all about. Kwanzaa is really a universal. The principles that you hear, Umoja, unity, Ujijakalea, self-determination, Ujima, collective work and responsibility, Ujamaa, cooperative economics, Nia, purpose, Kawumba, creativity, and Imani, faith. Faith in ourselves, faith in our teachers, faith in who we work with. Faith, we have to have faith in order to rise above the madness that we go through sometimes in life. We need that. Faith and hope and victory is what Kwanzaa is all about. So we do hope that you will continue to follow the principles throughout the year. They're universal. Anybody can relate to them. Everybody can relate to them. Because they're universal principles, really, not just for people of African descent, but people of the world. And this is what Kwanzaa is all about.
Okay, so we're going to move on. So again, Kwanzaa started as part of the Black Freedom Movement. Kwanzaa is part of Kawaida and the abuse of Saba. In fact, Kwanzaa was created to spread these values among the people. Okay? And we say Kawaida is the ongoing synthesis of the best of African thought and practice and constant exchange with the world. And at the heart to root us in our African culture, to create bonds and cultural reflections on the awesome meaning of being African in the world and the importance of African communitarian values, especially being Jews of South. So, the first one is, I want you to repeat after me. What? Umoja.
Umoja.
Y'all sound tired. I guess we need to close down here, huh? Karen, what you think? They're tired? We got food for them? All right, let's try it again. Umoja.
Umoja.
Unity.
Unity.
All right, that's the first principle.
To strive for and maintain unity within the community, nation, and race. Umoja.
All
Unity.
right. Family, community, nation, race.
Yes.
Kujichagulia.
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 Kujichagulia. Self-determination.
Self-determination to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves.
Instead of being defined and spoken for by others.
Okay? And that's a big challenge for our community, but it's also a challenge for a lot of people that don't think for themselves. And if you look at what's happening with a lot of young people, especially on social media, they're not thinking for themselves. They're not confident in themselves. And so they are getting into self-denial and self-mutilation and self-sacrifice because they're looking for other people to give them what's inside of them. Okay, so we have to teach them to think for themselves. Third principle is Ujima.
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 To build and maintain our community together and to make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and to solve them together. So this speaks to our shared experience, our shared sacrifices, and our sharing our problems as well as our solutions to our problems. Okay? And to make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems. We can't think that what's going on out there is immune from us. We're all connected, and we have to see these as connected values. Ujamaa.
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 To build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses and to profit together from them, or profit from them together. So, Ujamaa speaks to shared work, shared wealth. Okay? Of course, we live in a society that tells you otherwise, but there should be a more egalitarian distribution of wealth in this country. There's no reason why some people have money they can't spend for the next few generations, other people homeless and starving in the richest country in the world. You don't have health care, you don't have quality education, you don't have homes. You have homes that are collapsing on people in the richest country in the world. Think about that. You know, so we have to think in terms of shared work and shared wealth. Everybody deserves a decent life. There's enough resources on this planet for everyone to have a decent life. And that's what Kwanzaa asks us to think about in Ujamaa. All right, next principle, Nia.
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 All right, to make it our collective vocation, the building and developing of our community, in order to lead the building and restore our people to their traditional greatness. So we have to develop our communities. We can't be always in competition with each other. You know, in school, a lot of times you're taught to be in competition in this society, in school, in the workplace. You always want to get hyped by stepping on somebody else's neck. And so we have to learn to work together as human beings. And this is a very important principle here. And this speaks to us working together in our community so that we can restore our people to their traditional greatness. And then for our communities more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited. The idea here is that we must bring good into the world and not let any good be lost. That's all of our responsibility. We say that there are no chosen people. All humans are chosen. What are we chosen to do? To bring good into the world and not let any good be lost. To leave the world better than we inherited it. And so we have to do that every day. And young people, they have to learn to be good students so that they don't become a burden on their community or their family. Okay? So we have to teach them also excellence. That you can't just settle for mediocrity in your grades. Just pass. Just get over. I passed. No, you want to be excel. And one of the ways we also excel is by working together as students, study groups, learning together, not always seeing another student as your competitor. I think females do that more than males. They work together more. You look at the sports women or girls play versus the sports that boys play. Girls' sports are what? More in cooperation, whether it's jump rope, hopscotch, things like that. Boys' sports are more competitive. And so the spirit has to be about more cooperation. And even if it's competitive, it can't be in a hostile manner like we see. Some sports, I think, it's just too brutal. They need to modify it. Some of them, you watch them play, and then you got 5, 10 years of life in that sport and you're done. But we have to think about the long-term effects of what we do to each other and for each other. All right? And so the idea here is to leave the world better than we inherited, leave our community better than we inherited. And that's Kuumba. And to be creative in how we do and build and improve our lives and the lives of people around us. And finally, we have Imani. Faith. To believe it with all our hearts. And our people, our teachers, our leaders, our parents, our struggle. And the righteousness and victory of our struggle. We have a just cause that for people who are oppressed in this society, they have a just cause. You see in all of this activity now around what's happening to African people and other people of color for centuries that have been oppressed. I'm listening to now, I read a lot of books, but I'm listening to, this is my first, audio book. I'm listening to my first audio book, and I'm listening to Cass. It's a book called Cass. If you can get that book, you should listen to it. I mean, it's just sad the kind of things, experiences that blacks, Asians, Latinos have had to go through in this society because of racism. And so, we have to see these things as being able to be changed. We have to believe in change. Okay? That's constant in life. You grow up, you change. You start as a child, you become an adolescent, you become an adult, you become middle-aged and old if you're lucky. You live the right life and then you're lucky. Part luck and part good life. And so